Now, the web interface of Google Mail is fine, works great, and you can access mail that way from any device all the time without any problems. But we do have another option that's available to you, keyword being option. You don't have to do it this way, it's up to you. But Apple makes that a mail client called Apple Mail. It is the postage stamp that you may have seen on your computer from time to time. That Apple Mail app, which again I can search for if it's not in my dock, you can just search for mail and it'll show up. It's the one with the postage stamp. But it is a full-blown email client that'll work with multiple accounts at one time, and you can actually log into Apple Mail with your Google account if you want. The way the app works is probably a little more familiar to you. It probably works a little bit more similarly to First Class, and I personally like it better than the Gmail interface. So this is how I typically use Google Mail, is through Apple Mail. So all I have to do is open up the Mail app, and then it may ask you, if it's the first time you've ever opened it, it may ask you immediately to add an account. If not, if it opens up, I can click on the Mail icon or menu at the top and pull down to add account. And it's going to ask me what type. I simply want a Google account, and I hit continue. And then here's where I'm going to log in with my Pattonville information. So the first part is my school email. And once I punch in my email, it's going to ask me for my password. And I hit next. And then here it's going to ask me what it is that I want to set up. As mentioned in a previous tutorial, you can use Apple Calendar if you'd like as well. In this case, I'm just going to set up mail, so I'll leave it as is and hit done. So what it's going to do, it might take a few minutes, but it's going to go through and it's going to connect to my Mail app. And it is going to start downloading all of my messages, anything that I have in Apple Mail, and it's going to start loading all of that information right here into my Mail app. So it looks like it is finished, and here's essentially the way it works. I have an inbox, just like I did in my mail, and this one, if I'm a person that likes the little red flags, this one gives you blue dots to let you know what messages have not been read or not. So if I have a message that has a blue dot next to it, that means that message has not been read, and then when I click on it, the blue dot goes away, just like the red flag's going away. All the messages, when I click on them, they open up right here, so I can click. Those messages open up. If I have set up labels in Google, or those labels would show up. So here is a family update label that I set aside in a different video. If I wanted to take one of those, I can still search. So maybe if I search for family update, I find one here. I can drag and drop to apply labels. So instead of having to click on the label button on the online client, I can simply drag and drop messages, more similar to folders if you're familiar with that, and it moves those messages to those areas if I want. If I go to send a message, there's a little pencil and paper icon up here. This gives me a create tool. Same kind of options. I type in the name of the person that I want the message to go to. It finds everything that matches in our server, and then I can type in a subject, type in my messages down here. I have options at the top to do attachments, allows me to attach files from my computer. I have formatting options if I want to be able to edit the way that my message looks. It will connect to what's called my photo browser. If I use the Photos app on my computer, this will connect to the Photos app, which makes it easy to drag and drop images directly into my messages if I want, and I can even change the size of those images before I send them if I want to. And then when I'm ready, I hit the little paper airplane icon to send that message. Once I send the message, I get a little icon or a sound notification as my message is sent. I would leave, what I like to do personally is I like to open up my Mail app and I just leave it open all day. It will give me a little red flag in my app icon that tells me how many unread messages I have. Again, similar to the red flag in First Class if you prefer that. So it's a very robust tool. It allows me to do most of what I can do with the Mail app in my Google Client Online. I still, if I need to change settings or create labels and things like that, it's a good idea to do those things on the client side in the web version as opposed to the Apple Mail app. But it still works essentially the same way. I can delete messages if I want to. I can mark messages as junk if I need to. I can reply all, and forward messages, and then I can flag important things, which puts them in a flagged mailbox. So if I wanted to make sure I didn't forget something, so maybe I have an important message here, I can flag that message, and flagged messages will all show up in a flagged message with my red flag if you really miss the red flags to go along with it. So that is Apple Mail. Again, it's just another way to access your Google Mail if you choose to do that. It's personal preference, and again, I personally like to keep my Mail app open with a little dot underneath it telling me it's open. And then whenever I get messages and notifications, they'll pop in, and then I can click on the app to launch it anytime I want to jump in and start reading through my messages. So that is Apple Mail.